today, the 14th of February, is, of course, Valentine's Day and all that that implies. It is a day of sharing affection with the ones that you love, and as we were saying before, perhaps even those you don't love. And in particular, the focus, though, on romantic love between couples, which does mean it can be a very difficult time for people who aren't coupled, who have perhaps lost a loved one or perhaps single and really wish that they weren't. Joining us on the program now is Tanya Unkovich. Tanya, kia ora, and can I say happy Valentine's Day? Is that appropriate, do you think?
It absolutely is. I even said happy Valentine's to my cat this morning, so why not? To everyone that we love, right?
Exactly. Now, as I mentioned before, and this can be a really tough day for some people when everybody else is talking about all the love that they have to share. For some people, this is one of the toughest days of the year.
Well, yes, especially if you are recently separated or you're single and you don't want to be single or widowed. Days like this really can bring up pain. They can it can bring up a story that's going on in your head.
Yeah.
You know, why am I still single? It's amazing what this particular date does to some people, you know, and I often like to say, well, look, yesterday nothing was different. You were still worthy yesterday,
Yep.
and it was the 13th, and tomorrow you're going to be worthy, and it's the 15th. This is just a day, you know. Try and think of it that way.
It doesn't mean that we shouldn't honour marriage or romantic relationships or love or those sorts of things. I mean, this is something good which should have its place. You know, we shouldn't say, we shouldn't focus on this in case some people are upset. However, for those people who are genuinely heartbroken today, what are some strategies on how they can best cope with this day and make the most of it?
Well, loneliness is one of the toughest things that we all have to face, and it is one of the toughest things that my clients have to get over, especially if they are not in a relationship or are newly out of a relationship. It's the loneliness that they need to come to terms with and make friends with, because the loneliness is what takes them back into that story.
Yep.
And it takes them into that place of, I am not good enough, or I am unlovable. Will I ever be lovable again? It's about making friends with loneliness, I say, and not attaching shame to it as well. It's amazing how we attach all of these meanings by just being alone on that day. So I encourage people to get used to being alone and even at times feeling lonely.
You've got a suggestion here which honestly sounds like a bunch of fun. Going on a date with yourself, perhaps if not tonight, then in the near future, saying, hey, actually, I enjoy my own company. Let's go celebrate that somewhere nice.
Well, look, I encourage people to do that once a week, truthfully.
Yep.
And it doesn't need to be anything expensive. It can just be a walk in nature. But it is a really good way to get to know yourself and not get into the busyness of life and everything else, you know, but just take yourself away somewhere, even if it is just to be at peace with yourself. Do it. Do for yourself what you want someone else to do for you, you know, and whatever that feeling is that you're wanting from another person, do it for yourself first.
It can be very easy to compensate that hole that perhaps we feel in our lives, that relational gap, by making friends with a packet of chocolate biscuits or a box of donuts. These aren't necessarily our friends, right?
Well, they won't. They might be in the moment for a very short time tonight, you know, but tomorrow morning I always say to my clients, imagine what it's going to feel like tomorrow after that entire packet is gone, how you're going to feel the next day. And, you know, it isn't going to take away the feeling of loneliness tonight, or it's not going to take away the problem. It's just going to give you another problem tomorrow because you're going to feel uncomfortable and burping and everything else, you know. So instead of reaching for something to soothe you, reach for a friend to have a chat. Reach for your journal and start journaling. Reach for God. You will always have a friend there to help you to get through not only tonight, but any time of loneliness.
I mean, that is so significant, and I don't mean this flippantly because, you know, We'll always have a friend in Jesus, but sometimes we need, somebody with skin on, as it were, somebody to be the hands of feet of Jesus in that instance. But actually, if we have a personal relationship with God, we can talk to him about our loneliness. We can talk to him about the relationship that we had hoped we would have.
Absolutely. And, talk to God about how you feel about yourself, because so often what is at the core of so many of our hurts is that we don't feel good enough. We don't feel lovable enough. And this is heightened today. So, just know that the Lord loves you. And I always used to say and I was in my own prayer time, really wanting to feel God's love, you show me how much you love me.
Yeah.
And that way I will start to love myself. It's such a wonderful strategy to find that part in you that is lovable and worthy. So important.
And God is up for that challenge as well, I think, especially if we're feeling lonely, then, we can challenge God. We say, show me, if we ask him to show us the love that he has for us, often we'll get that tangible sense of his presence, that tangible feeling of his love in our spirit.
Well, that works for me every single time. When I am ready and willing to surrender and listen, truly listen for his word or that feeling, I get it. So I encourage everyone to try that.
Tanya, this is such an important conversation to be having today. I know that there will be people listening to this at the moment who are still hurting, who are perhaps longing for a life companion, longing for that love that they see other people experiencing today. So thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing these wonderful strategies for people who may be in that situation. Bless you, and thank you for your time today.
It's my pleasure.